Good afternoon, Dan. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Robert Falco. Back again, man. It's been a while, and I'm super psyched. But it is earnings season, so we had to hop back on the mic and just kind of run through some of these reports. And I don't think there's a better way to start than the three companies we have on the agenda for today. So we're going to cover Apple, Tesla, and AMD.
Yeah, the earnings season goes and comes pretty quick, and we are hot and heavy in this week. We're going to start with Tesla. Obviously, they reported yesterday, but we wanted to make sure to bring this one to you. First, the chart here. It's in a big old squeeze, sold off a little bit today, but did close pretty much right on top of the 200. Let's dive into their numbers. Their numbers were actually, I thought they were really good. You had 97% year over year in automotive revenues, 98% overall revenue, which most of their revenue is from automotives. And the thing that I thought was impressive was their margin was actually increased. We know their margin was under pressure a little bit from Q4 last year, and it was up a little bit in Q1, but a nice jump back over Q2 over like last year Q3. So I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. If you're going quarter to quarter from even Q2 2020 on that list, every single quarter you're getting growth. So there's still growth in the company, and I think we're still very much at the beginning of the growth. I think we have even Elon was talking about some of the developments, the Cybertruck coming out, the Austin, Texas factories, all of that stuff that's still developing. So in terms of numbers alone, I think we're seeing a company here that is growing. We have steady growth to a company, which as a long-term investor, that's a company you want to be a part of. And there is a good outlook on the company, at least as far as potential revenue that they have coming in and ways that they can expand still. So even though it's a large number, and people might look at the stock price and wherever it's at now, 644.78 after as at close, it seems like a big number to people, but I don't think we're barely at the beginning yet.
Yeah, you can see Model 3 and Y is really their big driver. Obviously, with the S and X, they stopped production for the remodel of the S. That's starting to get back going here in Q2, already running in Q3. But 3 and Y is really where they're getting their big increase, 169% year over year production, steadily growing each quarter over quarter increase was, well, it's probably like close to like 20% or so. So pretty solid. The conference call, on the other hand, I thought was a little funky. I know that you didn't listen to it, it sounds like, but Elon was definitely a little bit concerned with supply chain. He did not sound overly positive. They did push the semi back into next year. And he basically said, hey, we are so short on chips that we are cannibalizing chips from the power walls to build cars with them. And so if they have to sacrifice not building something, they're not building power walls. Hopefully they'll be able to get back to that next year. And then he also said that the Cybertruck was going to start after Model Y production in Austin, which is probably not going to happen until late this year. So that pushes the Cybertruck out into next year. And then the batteries, I think, was a little disappointing because he mentioned that all of their batteries are not going, or all their cars are not going to have 4680 batteries or the 2680, whatever it is, that some of the shorter range ones are going to have the iron phosphate batteries. And he likened it to 36 flavors, is what he said. Baskin Robbins style, not 31, but 36 flavors of batteries. So full on, Tesla's not going to the 4680s or producing them all on their own. They're going to take them from anyone else that produces them as well. So it sounds like that's a little bit of a bottleneck for them. But overall, the numbers were good. I just think there was not a lot of excitement because the call was, he needed like a hype man on the call because he didn't sound all that excited.
He needs Flavor Flav in the background. But I know you're concerned a little bit with the call, the tone of the call, all of that stuff. Which I get. I mean, you do want your CEO to come out there and kind of be a cheerleader for everything happening, but a lot it was from my understanding, and I didn't get a chance to actually listen to the call, just kind of going off of your sentiment from the call, but I kind of do want like all of the issues that were being brought up, at least by Elon, is not really in his hands. I mean, it's as a CEO of a company, you have your job to do, and you base a lot of dependency on some suppliers that are bringing in the chips, and the fact that there's a shortage. I would personally, I'd be frustrated too. So it sounds like Tesla itself, to me, is doing as much as it possibly can, but and that to me shows that there's demand for the product that is probably overwhelming, and there's some outside sources. I know we have the Shanghai plant being built. I don't think that's completed yet, but that's being built as well. And again, now we're going to run into some China outside sources, might affect some of the at least the Chinese portion of the business and things like that. So there's a lot of things that and obviously every CEO is going to have different challenges. But I mean, to me, yeah, I'd personally be a little frustrated too, not being able to get my hands on exactly what we need to operate at full speed. But that, to at least it shows that there's still demand in the product. So as an investor, I'm still, I mean, I like it.
Yeah, he did say that future earnings calls he just might not even join. So it just doesn't sound like the earnings calls are something that he really enjoys. Which after yesterday, I think might be good because it was kind of a not depressing, but it wasn't like a their numbers were so good. I feel like he could have been a much more celebratory of the job that they've done, and then spin a little bit for the positive
Elon's
growth for the
trading
future.
Bitcoin, so he doesn't have time to do earnings calls.
That's true. That's true. All right, let's move on to Big Daddy Apple. It looks like it's down a little bit after hours. Had a hell of a run here over the last couple months or month and a half or so, and down a little bit after hours on a big beat. It's only down 1.2%, but some phenomenal numbers from Apple. What do you think of these results?
It's Apple, uh, the biggest company in the world. And I think this is a problem that they're going to face. I expect them to do well. So yeah, the numbers are. uh, How are you going to get angry at the? I mean, did they beat everything again?
Yeah,
I think
81.4 billion in revenue. That seems like a
I think
lot.
across the board they've beaten everything once again. I mean, the numbers are up on the. It's not easy to keep a large company like this growing, and they're doing it every single quarter. But again, it is Apple, and there is that expectation that goes into Apple. And I think we're seeing a little bit after hours with that dip, people taking profits. I don't think it's a big. I don't think it's more people being depressed with the numbers. I think it's just, hey, we made more money, let's take it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is iPhone. I remember years ago them talking like, "Oh, iPhone sales have peaked," and it's like, I mean, iPhone revenue $39.5 billion for a quarter, and then we know in the wearables and they don't break it down, but wearables, I AirPods, sorry, and iWatches. I mean, this alone, like over the course of a year, $30 billion. That's practically an entire company. Not practically, it is an entire company on its own. So they are just absolutely crushing it across the board. They did also mention that there's going to be or could be some impact in their supply chain as well from chips. And if Apple can't get chips and they're the biggest company on the planet, then yeah, nobody can get them. So I think that could be a little bit of why it's down. However, it sounds like they're ramping up production as well. So I don't know how they're ramping production or if they're just using that as like a just in case they have an issue. They're like, oh yeah, we told you there's this chip shortage and it may or may not impact us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the chip shortage is definitely going to hurt all the companies. I mean, the big guys are not. They cannot avoid those hits, especially them probably. But I mean, Apple, Tesla, all these guys are facing the same issue. And I don't know the in depth detailed about the chip shortage, how quickly it is to catch up and to produce the chips at the certain speed. But yeah, I even with the chip shortage, Apple is still. I mean, that's impressive numbers. Every single quarter that they put out so far, they've just massive increases.
One thing I do know about semiconductors is that Jay Powell cannot print them like he can with money, and so it might take a little bit for us to catch up.
We could figure that technology out, though.
Yeah, if Powell could just stop printing U.S. dollars and print some semiconductors, that would be great. So Jay Powell, if you're listening and you could get on that, that would be phenomenal.
And make Tim Apple and Elon Musk very happy people.
Yes, yes, it would. So Apple, do you think it's a double top, or do you think that we bounce and go higher here?
It is pushing it. It does look like a pretty decent double top, slightly lower high. Um, we just went from what is that 124 ish all the way up
Mm-hmm.
to 149, 150 range, somewhere in that, without any pullbacks. It would make sense if we got some kind of pullback. I don't want to sit here and predict that that's the pure double top, but it does look like one.
Yeah, I would love a pullback back into this 137, 138 area,
Yep.
just off of these old highs right in here. I think that would be pretty clean. It'd probably align with the 50, depending on it's the 50 exponential, this red line here. Depending on when it gets there, and this is going to move a little bit. So I think that could be a good place to dip your toe in. Otherwise, I think a lot of folks have been selling some calls, getting in collars, lock in some gains, maybe trim your position a little bit. But Apple looks great, and I think it's really been holding up a lot of the market.
Yeah, I
Speaking,
would even if that looks like a double top. I think at some point in the future that double top breaks. It's not. I don't think we're peaking on Apple. They're just too strong, too solid of a company, too many products, too much in their little universe of products, and just the fan base alone is overwhelming. So it's easy to keep increasing sales on iPhones when they come out with a new one every single year that somebody has to buy. So
yeah, you're on the iPhone bandwagon now, right?
I'm in. I'm in. Yeah.
All right. Finally, no more green text messages.
No, not from this guy. But I will say, so I had the Google Pixel. I didn't mind the Google Pixel. I mean, comparative to the iPhone, I don't know. I don't see that much difference. But I think Jimmy Kimmel does. Was it Jimmy Kimmel that goes out on the street, walks around, and talks to people, and he shows people like the first iPhone ever, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a new iPhone. You guys like this one?" And like, "Yeah, this is amazing." And it's like iPhone version 1. So I don't think. I mean, I think it's just you get that little fruit on your phone, and people like it, and I think that's it. But it's still a cool phone. Don't get me wrong. I like it.
All right.
I'm a
Well,
customer.
welcome to the Apple ecosystem. Speaking of semiconductors, AMD here, after hours, up a little bit. It had kind of a big down day, big old trap this morning. So it's rebounding pretty much flat to where it was pre-market this morning, but technically it's up 1.2%. They also absolutely crushed it. Here's their quarterly revenue, up 99% year over year, and quarter over quarter 12%. So looks like a pretty solid beat from AMD as well.
Financially speaking, record revenue 3.85 billion. Yeah, up 99% year over year. Margin 48% margin. It's healthy. I mean, it is. It's got. I don't know if there's a lot of short sellers on this one, or something drives down, but or maybe just the mentality of that $100 number. It is a tough wall for AMD to break, but I don't think with if you're a long term investor in AMD, I think it's. I mean, the company's growing. I think your money's safe. I don't think you have to worry. And I think we eventually break that $100 level. I think my price target right now is roughly about 120. So I think we're still undervalued for where personally I think it could go.
Yeah, I'm in some AMD. You can see on the screen here. I had sold a covered call for this Friday at 100. That should be able to be bought back tomorrow morning, or just let it expire. I expect a giant implied volatility crush, but there is a lot of resistance right in this 94, 95 area here. And I do think that when we break that, I think we'll break out and then probably retest and then end up going much higher over time. So yeah, I think that AMD is definitely viable on dips, and or if you want to wait for the breakout and then get a retest, I think that that's cool too. It has been distributing up here. Just because it's a distribution phase doesn't mean it can't go higher. if you're into Dow theory, but it's been here for literally a year, like July, August of last year. It's been hanging out in this channel. So if it does get back into the mid to low 70s, I for sure would buy some more, but I don't foresee that happening. I think maybe in the high 80s is probably the best that it would do. Maybe off the 100 or 200 again.
Yeah, it got scary there for a second. A few of those if this candle break moments, and the candles broke, and it looked like we were going to get some serious pullback on. You do have that blue line already on your screen, which I like. It's $59.45. That's a great spot for it to pull back to. But again, I think we survived that scary moment. And even if you're in AMD, for me personally, if it does start dropping down to that close to that 59 level at some point, for whatever reason, the entire market pulls back, we have more issues with China, whatever the case is, I think that's a buy opportunity, not a sell. So for me, it would be an average down, and I'm still selling some covered calls against my shares currently of AMD. So that's how I'm looking to play it. But yeah, I think we get the break. I personally think AMD at this level is undervalued, so I'd be looking to keep trying to hold till it breaks higher.
So don't frown, average down if it does pull back, if the overall market gets a pullback, which we saw a little bit of today, but it got bought up before the close. So we'll see what happens. We could be back in an all-time high tomorrow or the next day. Who knows?
First thing in the morning. Yep. right back into it.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Thanks so much, Dan. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to love life, live life, trade it, and have a great day.
See you guys later.